an event, a high-level event, and we're doing several of these, to mark 10 years of TADAT. It reflects our shared commitment to strengthening public institutions and enhancing tax administration across the continent. The centres that got together here, and we have actually 5 of them, but 3 of them got together here, AFRITAC West 2, AFRITAC East, and AFRITAC South. We are committed on the ground to providing rapid, tailored, customized, and coordinated support to help our member countries strengthen tax administration. And I want to say that this work is more relevant today than it has ever been. When you look at the financing context for sub-Saharan Africa, if you look over recent years, how difficult, after all the shocks, when we were just emerging out of COVID and the sub-Saharan Africa was beginning to recover, we get hit by the disturbances to the global trading system. And we see countries having, even those with access to markets, having really, really difficult time getting finance. And if they do get finance, the spreads are very high. At the same time, we see huge declines in aid. That's been going on for 20 years. And in that environment, and the prospects are not particularly encouraging in that front as countries come, you see many countries prioritize shifting from development spending to defense spending. In that environment, strengthening your own domestic revenue mobilization and regaining control in a sense of the financing of your critical development needs is so central to any strategy. Improving the business environment that would attract foreign direct investment, and building, and that in a sense is dependent on strengthening public spending on key public infrastructure and creating, and that requires revenue. So the work that you do on the administration side to complement the work that your colleagues do on policy is absolutely central to the future prospects of this continent. So I can't reiterate how important and relevant and how amazing the work that you've done in recent years has been and to the future of the continent. Now, here, the TADAT, I think, has played a very, very important role over the last decade. Since its launch in 2014, we've really helped to reshape the performance of tax administrations and also how we think about and evaluate the performance of tax administrations. Before TADAT, we had the PEFA system on the public expenditure side. And PEFA was a more structured approach, but there was no comparable framework to evaluate different performance areas in tax administration. It was very fragmented. There were different tools and methodologies. They were not consistent or comparable across countries. So you, in a sense, need to benchmark yourself against higher performing administrations and see, well, what are they doing in this area? And it wasn't happening. And TADAT allowed us to systematize things and track progress in an organized way and against other countries. And it introduced a standardized, objective, transparent framework. And I think that was an incredibly important contribution that TADAT made. My only regret in the whole thing is I always wondered why we don't have one for customs as well. And I would love to see one on the customs side too. So maybe this is that 10-year point we can give that a push to. But it really has been transformative. And it's really been used by countries. I remember about 10 years ago, I was in Rwanda, and I'm not sure if Rwanda is at the conference here. Is there anybody from Rwanda here? And Yusuf, who's now the minister, was the head of your tax administration, I think at the time. Oh no, statistics. He was head of statistics, and I remember talking to him at that time on the tax side, and he told me, and he'd been within a government meeting, and he said that we are using TADAT to completely change the strategy of our revenue administration. Before that, we had our strategy document. We're shelving that. Your assessment has given us a roadmap, and we're going to use that, to guide the whole reform plans, and they've been implementing it for, it must be a good decade now. And if you look at the performance of Rwanda on tax, its tax to GDP ratio, which is really, in the end, that's what the objective here is, to raise the resources. It's quite impressive what Rwanda has achieved. As Modest said, 203 assessments done in more than half of the IMF membership, 112 countries. So this isn't just something that we do in developing countries. It's done in many, many countries. That's how valuable the framework is. And that shows, how useful countries all over the world at different stages of development find it. And our objectives in the centres are really aligned with the TADAT objectives. We very much focus on results, close coordination between other partners. And there are many partners, there are too many to thank that fund TADAT, so I'm not going to try and to say all of them, because I'll probably miss one out and cause an incident. But, we work very closely with them on the ground, and they've provided support for this because they see this as a unifying framework, and it helps their work too. And our centres, work in complementary areas as well. I have a team here at the moment with the government of Mauritius working on public sector debt statistics. So we work on public sector debt statistics, public financial management, and a whole set of financial sector issues as well. And all that complements the work that's done on the tax side. And we've moved further than that. I was invited recently to a very nice conference here on how do we digitize public finance. And I know that the MRA is doing a lot of work on that front. And many of you, this is really a very important opportunity to improve the efficiency of our tax administrations. And the IMF's done a lot of work on the digitization of public finance, both on the revenue side and on the expenditure side. So we do a lot of training and support work in that front. We do a lot of work on climate, resilience, on governance, all issues very, very relevant to the work that you also do on the tax side. So just as I end, I would like to say this is really 10 years is a pivotal moment in the TADAT journey. I think it's been an enormous success. We at the IMF have been enormously proud and honored to be part of that and to be key deliverers of this. And I think it's, as I mentioned, it's really a great platform for peer exchange, regional collaboration, and shared ownership. And that's exactly what this event will do in this beautiful setting of Mauritius. I just want to also say that TADATs are not just one-time exercises. This is a tool for continuous improvement. A number of countries have come back for repeat assessments because they want to keep progressing. They want to see how they're doing against their previous targets and areas for improvement and the previous performance assessments. And so it really fosters a culture of accountability, learning, and reform. So thank you so much for organising this, for the MRA for hosting this here. I think it was a very good choice. And I was just saying to MRA staff this morning that, the MRA has been supplying staff to the IMF to deliver technical assistance to other countries, which is a great credit to the experience and skills of the MRA. So I think it's a very fitting choice. And I really want to end here. We're in the presence of the Honourable Minister. And I also want to mention we have the State Minister from Ethiopia here as well. So we have a very high-level delegation to both Mauritius and Ethiopia, very close to my heart. But we have the State Minister and Mauritius. All our work here at AFRITAC South for Southern Africa. But we didn't mention, and I didn't mention, that here in Mauritius, Mauritius hosts the Africa Training Institute, which serves all your countries, all over Africa. And the work of those two bodies institutions would not be possible without the support of Mauritius. Very generous financial contribution, enormous support in terms of moral support and other guidance that Mauritius provides. So I really want to thank the host country, and I wish you a very, very enjoyable and productive stay here. Thank you.